Good afternoon and thanks for choosing Across the Fence. I'm Will Michael, in today for Fran Stoddard. Every year, 2 young Vermonters are selected to serve as ambassadors of our state's signature product, maple. The Maple Ambassadors promote, publicize, and educate the general public with their maple knowledge. Abigail Gagne of Highgate is one of the current ambassadors. She's a senior at Missisquoi Union High School. She was selected at last year's Vermont Maple Festival, and she'll serve until this year's festival, scheduled for April 22nd through the 24th. So today we'll talk with Abigail about all things maple and about how to become the next Maple Ambassador and earn the $2,500 scholarship that comes with that role. Abigail is the 5th generation of Gagnes to sugar the Vermont woods. She joins us this afternoon via Zoom. Thank you, Abby, very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to take us back to the 2021 Maple Festival and tell us how you became a Maple Ambassador.
So the Maple Ambassador process was a little bit different last year, just because you couldn't go in person and meet with the panel of judges. But I believe that the application process was still the same in terms of what I had to submit to be chosen. So I had to submit a letter of recommendation from a fellow county sugar maker. And then I also had to write an essay which included what I had been part of in the maple community, who I was, what I liked to do, and where I saw the industry going in the future. From that, I then met with 2 people from the panel, and they ultimately made the decision.
I'm guessing that part of that would have been relatively easy for you. You are from a sugaring family, 5 generations in fact, so it's pretty obvious where your interest in maple originates. You're really part of a family operation, Abby.
Yeah, so as you said before, I am 5th generation, and I have spent my springs in a sugar house as long as I can remember. So whether it's my cousins, my brothers, my grandfather, we all are part of it. My grandfather does a lot of the boiling, whereas my dad and my brother spend a lot of time in the woods fixing leaks and different problems that may arise. I do a lot of the marketing, so everything you see on social media, that comes from me.
Well, tell us a little bit more about that maple business. It's called Gagne Maple, is that correct?
Yeah, so we are located in Highgate, Vermont. So it's about 1.5 miles from the Canadian border. And we sit on 350 acres of land with about 22,000 taps. We are fully a wood chip burning operation. And in 2020, we hosted the governor's tree tapping ceremony right before COVID hit.
You were actively involved in that organization of that, as well as other things, including the Maple Festival. You've been a volunteer at the Maple Festival since you were 12 years old. What does the festival mean to you?
So the festival really signifies like the end of sugaring season. It happens to fall like right when we're done boiling every year. So it really signifies all of our hard work that we've put in over the past couple of months. The Maple Festival, it brings people together. It promotes Vermont maple. It brings knowledge to people that may not know how maple syrup is made, and it brings in a lot of outside people to the community.
So this is a good time for us to point out that the annual Maple Festival takes place, as Abby said, in St. Albans. It's scheduled for April 22nd through the 24th. You can check the website, vtmaple.org, for details. And that website is also where you can get the application and all the necessary information to apply for a Maple Ambassadorship. The program is open to Vermonters ages 16 to 21. You do not, I repeat, you do not have to come from a sugaring family or a background, but you must have an interest and knowledge in maple. Again, that website is vtmaple.org. And Abby, I know you're a maple creamy aficionado. In fact, through your family, you've opened your own creamy stand.
That would be correct. Last summer, I opened my own creamy stand. I was looking for a summer job, and my dad opened up that I could use the sugar house to hold my creamy stand. And it was a really unique place for it because we have creamy stands around here, but nothing inside a sugar house where you could see how your maple syrup was made. You could talk to the producers, and you really learned a lot while you were there. You weren't just getting a creamy, but you were getting a whole new experience.
So creamies aside, now let me ask you, is there a favorite maple recipe, either of yours or your family, a favorite recipe of maple?
My grandmother makes these wonderful maple dream bars, which it has like this really like hard crust, and then it's like maple cream and then whipped cream, and then it's topped with Cool Whip and like some pecans. It's delicious.
And it's lunchtime, and thank you for that. That's awesome. So as a Vermont Maple Ambassador, what are some of the things that you've done during the past year?
So in the past year, I have gone to the Lamoille County Field Days, Addison County, Franklin County, Champlain Valley, and then in the next couple of months, I will be attending the Vermont Maple Festival and the Governor's Tree Tapping Ceremony.
And when you go to these events, what are your responsibilities? This is where you really are earning your keep as the Maple Ambassador. So what are your responsibilities?
So my responsibility is really to engage with the public and teach them about how maple syrup is made, the importance of buying local, where our industry is going, how a lot of operations are family run and we like to keep them local. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, I'm also wondering out loud, maybe because of the pandemic, that some of your interactions with the public, were they limited to some degree?
There definitely were a lot more events I was supposed to go to, but just with COVID and not really sure where it was headed, a lot of those events got canceled. I definitely would say that at the fairs, my engagements with the public didn't differ that much from what I was expecting. But sometimes there weren't like as many people in the buildings as normal.
So Abby, as you're at these events, what are some of the questions that the general public asks a Maple Ambassador?
So the number one question I get asked is, why are you the Maple Ambassador and how did you become the Maple Ambassador? So I just take them through the process of what I had to do and my background in maple. And then another question I get asked is the difference between real and fake maple syrup. A lot of people don't know that not everything you see in the stores is real maple syrup compared to what we make here. Another one that I get a lot is, how is maple syrup made? Especially at these larger events, you have people coming from out of state that don't really know the process of it, and that maple syrup comes from a tree and there's a whole process to making it.
And yet that process is really pull it out of the tree, boil it down, you have it. Are people sometimes, those who don't know, intrigued or somewhat amazed by, in some ways, how simple this is?
I think a lot of times they are. They either think that maple syrup comes directly out of a tree, and then sometimes they think that there's this big long process that it goes through. So it really depends on where you are.
And yet I said simple. There is more science involved than ever before. There is continuing research. So what do you see as the future of Vermont maple?
The future of Vermont maple is really a growing industry. Since COVID started, we have seen a massive increase in the amount of syrup that is being sold off of shelves. There's an increase in demand. We're really pushing for producers to go organic. And I think just it's a growing industry and it's going to just keep getting better.
Abby, does the issue of changing climate come up? And do you answer those kinds of questions? Is that something that concerns you?
Climate is definitely a concern. We've seen that the season has changed a little bit. It used to be a longer season, and now we're seeing a shorter season, but an increase in sugar content. So it really depends. And then also how the summer was before the season does take a toll on the season that we have.
So I'm asking you about the future. Let me be a little more personal. What about your future plans in the maple industry?
I'm not really sure what my direct plans in the maple industry are. I will continue to help out my family in any way that I can, probably on the business side of things, and maple will always be part of my life. I do plan on staying local.
And yet there will be some changes at Gagne Maple, I suspect. You tell me that you will be a freshman at Norwich come this fall. Is that correct?
Yes, I'll be attending Norwich in the fall for civil engineering.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Before we run out of time, I want to just re-highlight the Maple Festival website one more time. You can get all the information you need about becoming a Maple ambassador, including the details on the $2,500 scholarship, by checking the website you see. It's vtmaple.org. And a quick programming note, next week we'll feature Abby's counterpart. He's a young man from Jay, Vermont, who is the other Vermont Maple ambassador. So Abby, thank you for being with us. As you go and we say goodbye, what will you remember most about being a Vermont Maple ambassador for this year?
I think I will remember the people the most. I have met some amazing adults and little kids, and I just really loved the whole experience.
Well, thank you again for being with us, and congratulations once again on your selection and service as a Maple ambassador.
Thank you.
And we know you have choices, so thanks for choosing us. I'm Will Michael, inviting you to join us back here each weekday afternoon for another visit across the fence.